Masechta bava basra daf nun tes amid aleph. Tanan, we learned in the hemshich of the Mishnah, hamaschila, the gutter, yesh lahem chazaka. They do have a chazaka. The Gemara is going to explain. Maschila is a gutter. The gutter on the side of the roof, and where the water goes on the side, and then you have a drain pipe. From the gutter, it goes into the drain pipe. So the maschila is called the gutter, and the marzev is called the drain pipe. So yesterday we said that maschila has a chazaka, but marzev doesn't have a chazaka. So Shmuel said that we said marzev doesn't have a chazaka. Shmuel explained because what does it mean doesn't have a chazaka? That he could tell him, I don't want your marzev, your drain pipe in the front of the house. Take it to the back of the house. But what does it mean? But the makkah ain't like chazaka. It means that, but he can't tell him to get rid of it. That's what Shmuel said. Then you had the second day. What was the second? Rebbe Chanina says, what does it mean? Marzev ain't like chazaka. That let's say he made a marzev as a long drain pipe, so he could tell him to cut it. He can tell him to cut it. He can't tell him to move it, but he says that I want to cut it. You don't need such a big drain pipe to block my chutzah from the top. So he could cut it. But by a gutter he can't. So the Gemara is saying, according to these pshatim, we could see a difference between gutter and a gutter meaning maschila and marzik. According to Reb Chanina says you could tell him to move it from side to the drain pipe from the front to the back. But by a gutter, you can't tell him to move it any direction. Put it on the other side of the house. He can't. That's according to Reb Chanina. According to, that was according to Shmuel. According to Reb Chanina, who says he made a too long of a, he could tell him to cut it. By a marzev, it's built out of brick. You can't tell him to cut nothing. That's it. You can't. It stays in one place. Says Gemara, these two mandam that I explained to Rabbi Chanina and Shmuel's Shita, we understand there's a difference between the drain pipe and the gutter, like I just had explained. That according to mandam, he's telling you that by a maschila, by a marzev, you said by the drain pipe, he only has the shus on the top, but he can't stop the guy from building a wall all the way up. So, how is a maschila any different? By the gutter, he should also build. He doesn't own the karka on the bottom. Just like by the marzev, you said he doesn't have a right to the karka of the balachotza. The balachotza can build his karka, build a wall over there. Under the marzev, al derazeh should be the same thing for maschila. Why should maschila be any different? Here it's talking about the two pshatim. I'm going to say the second shot that the Rashbam brings down. Maschila is made out of bricks, and the marzev was made out of wood. So if you would build, you start building a wall, you're going to start banging and making a lot of vibration, and you're going to shake it. I don't want that you should build a wall under my maschila because from the vibration it's going to fall apart. Others say, even if it's a mazev of brick, it's the first shot. If it falls apart, you build it again. A maschila is a long gutter, is a fixed thing. That's more of a davar chashav. Okay. Sagt die Gemara. If the drain pipe that was pouring water into the chutz of his friend, the owner of the rooftop came to close off the drain pipe. No more. The balachatza could be ma'akiv, and meaning the balachatza could say to the owner of the gag, just like you were kind of to drop water in my chatza, I could also have a schus in the water that was coming, and you cannot stop the water. What's the schus? So he says, but he uses that. The Rashbam says that he uses the water to give his animals to drink or to water his fields. Sagt die Gemara, Make some from mikveh, yeah. We were just talking about the mikveh, yeah? Zag Gemara Itman when you learned. Rabbi Yeshaya Omar, Ma'akev, he could be Ma'akev, the Balachotza could be Ma'akev, the Balagag, from closing up his drain pipe. If he insists he wants the water, he has to give it to him. Rabbi Chama, who was the father of Rabbi Yeshaya, Omar, Eina Ma'akev. Rabbi Chama said to who was the father of Rabbi Yeshaya, he says he cannot close up he cannot hold him back from closing it up. He could close it up. Because he says this, that he had only a schus. The balagag had a schus to drop water, but the balachatza didn't have a schus in the water. First, you don't know if the water is going to come. Anyway, also Shaila Rabbi Bisa, who was the grandfather of Rabbi Yeshaya, and he answered, Amalahu Ma'akiv. He said, like his grandson Rabbi Yeshaya. He says that you could hold the balachatza, could hold back the balagag from closing up the pipe. So first of all, the Mefarshim asks, why do you say Rabbi Yeshaya's name first? So Rabbi Yeshaya was the grandson. So why? So Taisa says, Lefish Rabbi Yeshaya, Rabbi Yeshaya was a tremendous chacham. Even though he's the grandson, he was more chesed than all of it. And others say, look, that's how the story was. The story came to Rabbi Yeshaya. Then they went to Rabbi Chama and then to Rabbi Bisa. Zog the Gemara, Kari alei Rabbi Machama. Rabbi Machama quoted the pasuk, "V'hachut hamishulish le b'mehedi yinosek." A chut that's twined by three doesn't get torn very easily. So Rabbi Yeshaya b'neish Rabbi Chama b'neish Rabbi Bisa. You have the grandfather with the son and the grandson. Like it says, Shemi who showed that he brings down the Masechta Bava Metzia that the Torah b'chazeres alachsaner shaloi. If it's the father and the son, the grandson goes back, and then there's a third one. It says, "Well, you say, but he says, so you see, it's three generations of Talmid Chachamim, and we see that Rabbi Yeshai, the grandson, was mechavan to the grandfather. A sulam amitzi was the movable, easy, light, small ladder. What's the case of a sulam amitzi, which is a small ladder? The guy put a person from one house, put in somebody else's chutzah that small ladder. So he doesn't have a chazaka because the guy doesn't care. It's a small ladder. He's going to move it soon. What does it mean that sulam mitzvah? How small is it? What's the shear? So in the base medrash of Rabbi Yana, they said kol she'ein loy abah chavokim. As long as it doesn't have 4 steps, so then it's a tiny ladder, and therefore the guy
like a step ladder,
like a step ladder, and it's so small, so he doesn't. He's saying he's not really taking any space. He's not making any chazaka here. I'll tell him to move it. He'll move it out. That's why you can't say, oh, because he was a meicha chazaka. That's not true. It's a tiny ladder, and he never thought of. He didn't care. By sulam, you didn't explain in the Mishnah what is that sulam mitzi. Now you explain it in the Gemara that it doesn't have 4 steps. But the Gemara says by chaloy mitzi, the Mishnah says what's the shear of a chaloy mitzi? It says kol she'ein he can't stick his head through the window. That's what the Mishnah said. Let me see if he brings it. He quotes the Mishnah over here. He doesn't, but Chalei Mitzi, it says Kol she'ein reish shaladim yochli kanes sula. Kol she'reish adam she'ein reish shaladim yochli kanes l'seicha. That's the quote of the Mishnah. So why by Chalei Mitzi the Mishnah said what's the shear of the Chalei Mitzi, and by the ladder not Ma'ishna gabe sulam loy mefarish, Ma'ishna gabe Chalei the mefarish. Why by Sulam didn't the Mishnah explain what the Sulam Mitzi is, and why by Chalain Mitzi he said what it is? Because he wanted to bring a shita that argues. Rabbi Yehuda argues with the Tanakama. The Tanakama says a Chalain Mitzi is Nishken Chazaka because it's a small window. He's not. It's Atamish. He doesn't care about it, and therefore this that he wasn't Meicha doesn't give him a Chazaka. But the Gemara says the reason why the Mishnah had to explain the house, the Shir, the Chaloim Yitzri, because Rabbi Yehuda want to say, even though it's a tiny Chaloim, there's sometimes that it could be a Chazaka if he has a frame. The Tanakama says if he made a frame, special around that small window, and he wasn't Meicha, then it will be a Chazaka according to Rabbi Yehuda. Tanakama not. That's why he had to
say everything that you do something extra, you become a Chazaka.
Something to make it look special. Yeah, a frame makes it look special. So that's what he wanted to tell you, the machlekes. And that's why he had to say the share. Amar Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera said about a chaloin tzuri. Chaloin tzuri is the big window. Lamat me'aba ames yesh lechazaka. If the chaloin, the big chaloin, he made it within 4 amas of the ground, so your mamish see what's going on with what's the tutzach b'ayim mechotza. So then he should have right away said, "You're opening up a window, a big window, and you see what I'm doing in the chutzah? No way. He should have been meicha. And if he wasn't meicha, he's a chazaka." So you want to, but yachal limches. Mishnah does. If he made it, if he did, he could. In the 3 years, he could be meicha. He said, "Close the window. I don't want it. It's bothering me." But what's if it's already 4 amas above? So 4 amas was like 6 feet, and you're looking out your window, you don't see down. Your eyesight doesn't go like this, you see straight. Shemaimo, you see straight, but you don't see down in the chutzah. So he says, ain't like chazaka. He doesn't have chazaka, because the Baal chutzah doesn't care, he doesn't think he's looking in. He cannot tell him, close up the window either. He can't. Rabbi Allah will argue and says he could tell him to close up the window. It's a chazaka. It's not a chazaka, I'm sorry, because it's really, the person doesn't really see it. But if he wants to tell him to close it up, he could. Rabbi Allah, even though is, he doesn't care, and therefore it's not a chazaka. Nevertheless, he could still tell him, shut your window down. I don't want you to have a window. Let us say they're arguing about if you could force somebody to no, I'll meet this name that you could tell him, you can't tell me to close it. This is midas name. So the Masa Rabbi Zera holds you could force him and say you have to abide by that you're not allowed to have a midas name and you cannot make him close it. That's what Rabbi Zera holds. Omar Rabbi Lo says that he can tell him to close it. Somebody ain't kaifin, you can't enforce. You can't enforce and tell him, hey, this is midas name, you're not allowed. In fact, the Ritva, how could he say? Everybody holds that you're not ein kaifin midas name. So the Ritva explains that here we're talking about it's shaykh if it was in a very unusual way that he should see the chutzah. So because if he puts himself in danger, he puts him bends over, but it's a very unusual. It's not the normal thing. So then he says, even though it's unusual, but still he can tell him to close it. You can tell him to close it because he's worried that he might do an unusual thing. Says
you don't call it midas davis.
He calls it midas daim, but he says you can, but it's midas daim, let's say, b'shas adchak. Okay. So you mother light. No. Everybody holds that you can force a guy and tell him you're not allowed to be a zdainik. You can force him. But here it's different. The Amalei, here we're talking about Zimnim, the Meisiv, Shashifa, Toisach. Sometimes people bring benches close to the window, right? It's more usual. And sometimes, and since there's a bench by the window, a lot of people have benches. You can stand on the bench and you see right down the whole place. But Kayam, you stand on the bench, and you see right down to the chutzah. So here he says, really, mitzvah midas daim, I could tell you can't tell me to close it. You're not allowed to be a zdainik. But here we're talking about something that's shchicha. People bring benches to the table, and it happens. People, I've hopped on the yitzhar, get him up. So you put one foot to make sure he's not looking. You know. There was this person that came before Rabbi Yami. Rabbi Amma said, what did he come? This person came before Rabbi Yami with this same shaila. But they gave to a window that was above 4 amas, and the balachotza was telling the balabayis, shut down your window. So what was the din? What did they pass him? Shadal Chamei, the Rabbi Abba Mamel. Rabbi Ami sent this before Rabbi Abba Mamel that he should pass him. That was his student. Amalei, and he said to Rabbi Abba Mamel, his teacher, Avid le ki Rabbi Allah, do like Rabbi Allah, that he could be meicha, and tell him to close it because it's usual. Because the damage could happen. It could happen. Even though as a window alone, you don't see down, but since it's possible that there'll be a bench and he'll get up on the bench and look through, it could happen. Omar Shmuel exactly.
Nosy guy.
Yeah, he knows too much. Yeah, nosy. Omar Shmuel had gesagt, if it was a chaloin that was made for light, so he brings down from the Rashbam. It doesn't have any light, any oil coming into the house. So he made a window for light. So here, if he opened up, so the Gemara, in such a case, yes, like chazaka. I feel like even a tiny window, it's going to be a chazaka.
Yeah, because it's too dark. The whole thing is dark.
Yeah, so he made the window for light.
But not to see what's going on.
So if he's making it for light, so then the guy, the balachotze can tell him to shut down your window. I'm sorry. It's if he doesn't tell him to shut down your window, he gets a chazaka. And now, if he wants to build a wall, he's not allowed to darken his light. He's going to have to move his wall, build it 4 hours away.
The boss cannot do it.
That's what's going to happen. Oh my gosh! Agast the start. No. Maybe a day here, but not. No, it's so this summer. My wife didn't want it. Too afraid. She's still afraid to go to Eretz Yisrael. I usually go. Haziz, a protruding beam. He says, a ledge. You know a ledge out of the house, a piece that sticks out of the house? So it's called a ledge. Sometimes it's a beam that's out of the house.
Okay.
So he says that sticks out into the Chotzish Chavere, Atefach, Biz Atefach. So, and he leaves it there for 3 years. And on the Bala Chotzer says nothing, even though it's over his Chotzer. Yes, he has Chazaka. V'yochel libches. The Bala Chotzer can tell him, hey, I don't want this ledge over me because you're going to use it. And when you use it, you're going to look down into my Chotzer. I'm not too happy that you have a ledge this way outside your, sticking out of your building that you can bend over, hold on to the ledge, and see exactly what's going on.
It's not your business.
It's not your business, yes. Yeah. Shake the Atzman. Kick in the Eigenhuizen. Okay, so he says like this, what's if the ledge was less than a tefach? He doesn't have a chazaka. And he cannot be meich such as this. So if it's less than a tefach, it's nothing. Zok the mother, and it's not a chazaka because a tefach is like this. So half a tefach is like this. So he's not going to even see it. That's why it's not a chazaka, because he didn't care. And otherwise, why should it bother him? A tefach, yeah. We're soon going to speak about it. Right. Amr Rabbi Yabba, Amr Rabbi Mani. Amr Rabbi Yaakov, Amr Rabbi Mani. Herzik be tefach. If he had a tefach sticking out, herzik ba'ba tefachim. If he had a tefach in the width, right? If he had a tefach in the width, then he has a chazaka of 4 tefachim. That he can now go out 4 tefachim.
How is it going?
Oh, very good. My comment was the vasakta. Because he has a tefach sticking out a little bit, he can go out to 4 tefachim. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, he has 1 foot in, he gets the whole body in. Yeah. Like you give a finger, not the hand. This is what he was saying. Let's say he had the width of a tefach going out 4 tefachim. Okay, in the width of a tefach. So we say, since he has already 4 tefachim coming out in the width of a tefach, so you already have a double chashuv, 4 tefachim sticking out, so you could be marchavit that it should be dalet al dalet. Once you already have 4 tefachim, you have a a hole in the
Make
place.
it like
Adava
into a
chasa.
square, right?
So you can make it into a square. You can't make it more than 4 tvachim.
Not longer.
You can turn it into a makim chashiv because you already took a chashivas of a space, because a reichav of a tefach by 4 tvachim is already a davar chashiv, and the real makim chashiv is dalar adal. But ad kan, and then he brings down from the Rashbam. What's if it was 3 tvachim, and it was reichav tefach? No, it's not. He didn't yet acquire makim chashiv. I can read it from the Rashbam. He says, huh? You got it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
understand it.
Okay, very good. So the Gemara, how about what's if it was pachas mi tefach? Ein le chazaka, ein yachal imchis.
Even though it's
If
much more.
yeah, but it's less than a tefach. It's gone. It's like a stick, a little stick sticking out. Ein le chazaka, ein yachal imchis. It cannot be metal. Omer Rav Huna leishano elabal hagag bebal hachotze. That only the balagag from where the ledge is coming out, he cannot be meicha on the balachotze not to use it. The balachotze is allowed to use the ledge. Let's say the balachotze sees this thing sticking out, so he wants to hang up stuff over there, a rope or his clothing maybe to dry up. He sees the ledge, so he's allowed to use it.
This belongs to the other guy.
It belongs to the balagag, but it's over his chotze. He could cut it off, says the Rashbam. So since he can cut it off, he has a schutz in it. He put it over it, he can use it. So the balagag can't stop the balachotze because the balachotze is not hurting him. Because the balachotze cannot see what's going on by the gag, up and sideways. He can only see upwards, so he cannot see. But the balachotze can say, hey, the kunishtim, don't start using the ledge. You're looking down, you're looking at my chotze. No. You can't look there. You can't use it. Rabbi Yehuda argues, he says even the balachotze and the balagag, he cannot stop him. Meaning that the balachotze can't tell the balagag, don't use your ledge because you're looking down. He can't stop him. So the Gemara wants to understand, what are you talking about? Says the Gemara, the hezek riyah. Come here, forget. Should we say they're arguing in the concept of hezek riyah? The Marsal Shmei hezek. One Tana holds that it is a hezek. Because he could say, yeah. No, the etzem riyah is a hezek. U'ma'asava lo yishmei hezek. Rabbi Yehuda says, just because you're looking, it's not a hezek.
How'd that little ledge make it look for that?
Because when you have a ledge, you can bend over, you can lean over, you can stand on it even, and look down.
That's small. It's like only
Tefach.
this wide.
We're talking about
It's 4 tvachim wide and it's a tefach.
yeah, but when he bends over, let's say he bends over, he can hold on to it, hang up stuff, but he can look down. It's a good hole. It made a good. It's part of a beam that goes. It's a cross beam that goes the whole width of the house. And he said, "Why should I cut it? Let the beam stick out a little bit. I'll use it also." And he holds on to the beam and he looks over. Says,
Hold on or stand on?
"Huh?
Hold on or stand on?
Right now, I'm not sure. Some place he says that he could stand even, but I don't know how it's stuck. He was saying it's less than a tefach. Tefach you could stand on. Yeah, tefach you could stand. Yeah, right. That's one of the hezeks. Yeah,
He's hanging on to it.
it's like you want to light the kuliyama shmei hezek. Everybody holds hezek is a hezek. The shiny hach over here it's different. He says, look, this little peg, whatever you call it, it's not really a custom. People don't use it normally, and therefore he's not. He can't worry about that. He's going to bend over and look over. Lamai chazi, what is it fit for? It's not a place where you stand or you use it. You sit on that little ledge and you look. That's a sakana. You don't sit on such a ledge. You use it. It's not really you to hang things. That's all. To hang up stuff. So for hanging up stuff, I'll go backwards and I'll drop it on the beam. And I'll hang it. I won't look down because I'm going to do it backwards, so I won't see. Says the Gemara Veidach. So what's taka? Why is the balachotze able to stop the balagag from using it if he does it backwards? He says, Amalei Zimnim Debi. He says sometimes he's afraid to do it backwards. He can fall off the roof, so he's going to turn around. So even when he's not afraid, he's going to say he was afraid, and we're afraid. We're afraid that he just wants to see what's going down. Okay. Zag the
Fall off the gun or fall off the piece?
But that's the gag. It's sticking off the gag. He can fall off the gag and fall into the chatzah.
it's slippery. It's like,
it's good.
Okay. Lo yiftachot mechaloi noisov lachatzar hashutvim. A person shouldn't open up his windows into the chatzar of shutvim. You're not allowed to open up a window, and all of a sudden, you see a chatzar that belongs to partners. Now we're thinking he's not one of the partners. He opens up a window and he's looking at the chatzar of the shutvim want their privacy, and he has a window right there, so he's not allowed to open it up.
well, to make a window, they said.
Yeah, I own a house,
He wants to make
and
a
on the
window.
side of my house there's a chutzner
They want to make a window.
where the two partners own, and I want to make an opening of a window and look right into the chutzner.
Or maybe he wants to have more light to the house. Or something.
Not over there. He says he can't. Look at let's say he bought a chutzner, a house that he has a house. No, later on the Gemara is going to say he's a shooter. How about he's not a shooter? Wait. Chatzar shooter. As nicht gewähnt from the shooter. So here's a house that there's a chutz on both sides, and his house only opened this side, but he had a chutz also over here with the other shooter. So he wants the door to open from this house to this side also. Says the Mishnah. You cannot open up to the other side of the shuttim because they ketaina. Listen, we don't want he said they don't want to have more traffic in the chutzah. It's enough. Okay, they can stop it. So if you want to bun ali al gabi base, let's say you build a second floor, or here it seems like he's saying it was a loft, very high ceilings, and he put a floor. Says you want to he shouldn't make like a ladder on the outside for the second floor and use the chatzah of the shutim. No way. If he wants, he can build an inner room. He can add more rooms, but they all have to use the same exit. If he builds ali on his beisay, and he opens it into his house, that he can do.
I mean, you can make steps from the outside, but you can make steps from the
Inside, yeah. They don't want a new entrance.
It's not for the looking, it's for the using.
For the using. They don't want another opening being used in the chutzah. They don't want more traffic. One opening. My area, why is Daka saying that he's not allowed to open up a window to a chutzah that belongs to Shutvin? Why are you choosing Shutvin? Choose even the chutzah of his family is not allowed to open up a window. Shachan, yeah, it's the same thing. Why you want to say dafke the is by a rabbin, nicht by a yachid, but the is by a yachid just as well, and say better the is by a yachid. Avade by a rabbin, it's going to be a isur. Says the Gemara, loy meboyer kamar, loy meboyer lachatzar chavere the loy. Not only to the chutzah of his chaver, he shouldn't open it up. And here he says, the Rashbam says over here, Hagemara understands that now he is a partner. In the Havamina Hagemara Hevina Beis Shemedu Mikashu Atzmein Eino Shut Beis Achatz Hashutim.
Now became a partner.
But now we're talking about in the answer that he is a shutim, and that's the chiddush.
In other words, heat from his house is a shut
With in that chutz as well, so he's not allowed to open up a window. We're going to get to it. Chatzavir the lo yiftach, aval chatzar shutvim. Chatzar chavir for sure he's not allowed to open up. Aval chatzar shutvim, but the chatzar the shutvim shehu atzmei shutav bo, like the Rashbam says, that he himself is a now in the answer we're saying that he is a shutiv. The Amalei let the Baal Abayis say, who's a shutiv in the chatzar, save hakabayis it's tanui minoi bechatzar. You still have to worry about me. I'm in the same chatzar. I'm a shutiv with you. So just like your problem is you're afraid I'm looking on your privacy. I'm there with you in the chatzar.
We're partners.
We're partners. Kamash Malon, he comes to teach us. I'm like, till now the chatzar have been it's tanui minoi. He says, till now, when you were in the chutzah, we knew you're in the chutzah. That's where we have to be careful.
We don't come in.
But hashta, now I feel the bias. But now, when you're in your house, we still have to watch because you make yourself a window. Till now, we knew you went into your house. I can do my privacy. That's one pshat. Another pshat is in the house he's making a window. Now he can also see into the other guy's house. That's two pshatim in the Rashbam. Taner Abanan.
So the other guy has to close the window.
Huh?
The other guy has to put the shade.
Right. No, he has to put down a shade because he's looking into his house. That's the second shot. There was a story of one person that opened up his windows to a chatzar shutfin. And he came before Rabbi Yishmael Rabbi Yossi to say, I have it 3 years. I want to know if I can keep it because the chatzar, the shutfin, one I should close up that window. Rabbi Yishmael said to him, you don't have to close your window. But he saw the people are not with him, and they're not happy. So they called him Mistama to Rabbi Chia. And then he came before Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia told him the opposite. You're a guy to fasachta. You worked hard, you opened up a window. You go to say, work hard and close that window. Why? Because if you remember, a chazaka on something that's a damage, you can't make a chazaka on something that's damaging. Here it's like, you remember what smoking. You're smoking the field the whole time, or how did I make a chazaka in that field? Because I made a bunch of toilets, dooskies in the land with McKengen kaken and you can shovel up. Well, that's not, you can't make a chazaka because you did such a thing. That's damaging. A chazaka damages, you can't make a chazaka. Here it has a kriya, it's a damage. So here we go back and here all the Rishonim asked before. So by Hezekiah, how did you say that it's going to be a chazaka? If you remember in the Mishnah before, by the Hezek b'tefach, but that was the whole Hezekiah and all the whole Gemara before. Anyway, we'll stop over here.